So, hi there, welcome to what is a new channel. And my name's Josh, and for quite a few years now, I've been looking to write a book which is essentially putting you in position to have more positive experiences when talking openly. The reason for doing so is that I've got a past of agoraphobia, and I wanted to show you how I overcame that and how I've been able to improve my life through putting myself in positions where I was able to have better conversations with people at a quicker speed and with more efficiency. So, the key thing for me today to talk you through is something that I call positioning. So, to me, the most important thing in talking openly is not the conversations that you have with people, it's not what gets expressed, because we all know what we want to talk about. The problem that we have is being able to put ourselves in positions where we can talk about it openly. So for me, if I can help one person put themselves in a position where they're able to talk openly with more success, then that is a success story to me. So let me talk you through positioning. So positioning, and what you'll learn in a future book that I'm trying to write, is effectively all of the factors that get you into a talking situation. So for me, these are attitude, these are talking partners, these are your environment, and this is timing. So those are the four elements of which I've built the basis. However, we'll come back to that at a later point in time. For the moment, I'd like you to realise what positioning in talking openly is. So the best way for me to explain this to you is if you can imagine football. So I'm a huge football fan, I support Luton Town, and a lot of my references always end up either in football or some kind of sporting environment. So positioning to me, I like to imagine, is the same as expected goals in football. So if you don't know what expected goals are, it's effectively where a striker has expected goals from every shot based on where they are, based on how the assisters come in, whether they're using their strong foot or their weaker foot or their head. All of these factors are able to build a total which gives the expected goals. So the expected goals, the highest probability of a goal would be a score of 1, and the lowest probability would be a score of 0. So if you can imagine, if you put yourself as close as to the goal as possible with your strong foot and the ball's come in on the floor, you're much more likely to score than if you're on the halfway line trying to shoot with your weaker foot. So you'd have a much higher expected goals, instead of a less expected goals. So yeah, we can look at this in a very similar way when we're talking openly, for example. So when you position yourself to talk openly, let's do the negative example. Let's say you're trying to shoot from the halfway line, right? You have a conversation when you're in completely the wrong headspace with a person who doesn't really care what you're trying to say. You may say it in an environment that's too loud, like a theatre, and there's people shouting over you, literally singing and shouting over you, and you might do it quite late on at night when everyone's tired and, to be honest, just wants to go to bed. So if you imagine those are your four factors, and it can get deeper than this, we'll go into that in future videos, but if you imagine of those four factors, not a lot of them are aligned to allow you to talk openly in the right manner. However, if you were to change one of these factors, or all four of these factors, you'd have a lot more success when looking to talk openly. So, for example, if you had a positive mindset and you were looking to right the wrongs of whatever's going on and all of the issues that you're facing, and you said, right, okay, here's my purpose, here's 3 things that I want to talk about today. First of all, you've got a purpose and your attitude is in a good place to talk openly. The second, let's talk about a talking partner. Let's say it's someone you trust and you know that there's very little repercussions of any conversation that you have with that person. Suddenly, you're in the right headspace with the right person, and a successful interaction is a lot more likely than the situation prior. The third item is environment. So let's say you took yourself away from the theatre, and instead of the theatre you said, right, I'm going to go to my favourite coffee shop because I know it's chilled out in there, I like the music, and who knows, you might even like the lattes that come with it. All of a sudden, you've now got 3 elements that are really successful. And the final one is timing. So instead of doing it quite late at night when people are tired and looking to unwind and go to bed, instead you're tackling it at 10 o'clock in the morning when everyone's full of energy and looking forward to the day and willing to take on problems and listen to issues. With those 4, so you've got your personal attitude, you've got your talking partner, you've got your environment right, and you've got the timing right. All 4 of those elements put you in a position where talking openly is much more likely to be successful. And that, to me, is essentially the same as your expected goals that we spoke about earlier in football. You're effectively putting yourself closer to goal and much more likely to score. So, I have a million things that I can talk about with this, but I just wanted to put the principle out there as early as possible. This is an introductory video into something that I call positioning in the art of talking openly. And one day I hope to produce a book on this. At the moment I'm working on case studies and getting my draft right to hopefully go to publishers one day. But for now, I really look forward to working with you and helping you guys have more successful interactions when talking openly. We're all here to help. And the reality is, whilst we can do things alone, we're much better when we're together. So, welcome to the channel. Once again, I'm Josh, and I look forward to working with you.